In case of large airports with heavy traffic, the general aviation aircraft with GNSS navigation and a properly trained crew can opt for both the classic and SBAS approaches. However, the glass cockpit, no matter how good it is not able to solve a relatively trivial ATC request for a higher speed approach, resulting from the need to get the speed as close to the approach speed of a large airliner as possible. It is the task of air traffic controllers to ensure not only the safety, but also smooth air traffic flow and a high capacity of the airport. Many airports have an adequate procedure described in AIP where the required approach speed is specified. The pilot is then usually required to inform the air traffic controllers in advance that he or she is not able to comply. In other words, the aircraft is either capable of a high-speed approach or the crew has to take into account, at airports with heavy traffic, frequent waits that result in delays and excessive costs. What does a high-speed approach mean in practice? Everything is much faster, especially for the pilot. Instead of the usual speed of 80 to 100 knots, he or she is expected to keep, for example, a speed of 160 knots until the 4th nautical mile of the final approach. Then the airplane, however, has to land at a usual speed. Some general aviation aircraft therefore have special equipment on board that enables intensive in-flight deceleration, such as reinforced flaps, air brakes, or they can extend the landing gear earlier and thus increase the drag. For less experienced pilots, the high-speed approach, however, implies a heavy load due to a faster sequence of a checklist of items and a necessity to simultaneously master the kinetic energy, inertia of the airplane. The basic requirement for safe landing is a correct approach speed, a correct course and final approach angle, airplane configuration and engine performance, a normal vertical speed of descent. During approach, we make just minor changes to the longitudinal axis, power, speed and deviations to the slip. After we are closer than 500 feet to the ground, we do not make any more configurations and we just make sure the plane is in a stabilized approach. The pilots therefore need to go through the training with a flight instructor and be prepared to initiate the missed approach procedure in case they are not able to stabilize the approach or keep the required speeds. This, as well as the following rules, however, apply to every approach. Be always 2 steps ahead of your aircraft, otherwise you will become just an observer. Not sure about clearance? Then ask. Calculate your descent, vertical navigation to have your medium approach as close to the final approach fix and thus not slowing down the traffic behind you with a slow approach speed. Always stick to the pilot operating handbook or flight operation manual of the aircraft manufacturer and to the procedure specified by the operator. Fly, navigate, communicate. Safety first. Do not be afraid to declare an emergency. It is much better to write an explanation than to make it to the statistics. To reduce the pilot's load connected with flying the aircraft, it is possible to use the autopilot with the entire arrival procedure already preloaded. It holds even more true in case of difficulties. Do not be afraid to use it. You will certainly appreciate the possibility to take over the trimmed aircraft before landing. Autopilot is your friend, but always keep an eye on it. Managing the high-speed approach in an infallible and safe way represents one of the milestones of a good pilot becoming an even better one.